out at the bottom for you guys. Just so you know, you're muted during this.
No, it's not bugging out.
Okay. Oh, now I'm missing. What is up, guys? I'm NYC Anime Nerd, and this is Echoes of the Void, where we theory craft One Piece on Wednesdays at a little after 5:30 every week. Never a direct time, and my co-hosts are Nerd Taku and Broker. What's up, guys? How's your week been? Day been?
Good, thanks. You?
It's been an interesting week, to say the least.
Have you been getting hit with the storms also where you are?
Yes, yesterday I had to rush home because my basement was flooding.
No.
So
is
yeah,
that where all your stuff is also?
No, luckily, I stream from a different area. It will eventually move to the basement, but it like my sump pump just like blew one of my pipes up in my sink. And then I had to like rush home, replace the gasket, put it all up. And then like there was like not an inch of water, but close to it in my basement. So like I spent the whole rest of my time just like squeegeeing water into the sump pump. It was a wonderful time.
Dude, even a half an inch, a third of an inch is a lot. Like people don't understand to like actually build up like a third of an inch of a water. Do you know how wet it has to be and how much water there has to be underneath that to like visibly be like a third or a half an inch of water?
Yes, I live in the United Kingdom, so yeah.
Yeah, you guys should be used to that.
Yeah, we call that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my friends came over and was
whoa.
wow.
You said a third of an inch. That's Wednesdays. If you're talking Tuesdays, that's 6 inches.
I had a friend come over and he's like, it's like, yeah, it is like the One Piece world. It is flooding.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. It's like really, I don't know, like I feel like we always get hit around this time, but like it's like this full week we've been getting, and now it's like going into 2 weeks, and it's like pretty it's not light. It's not like light spring showers. It's like torrential. Like parts of New York have been getting like hail and tornadoes. I'm like, listen, I know our state's fucked up, but like, come on, guys.
Dude, it was literally like downpouring the other day when I went to go see the Thunderbolts, and then there was like a Walmart. Oh, I really liked it, dude. I don't know. Like people be hating, but like I loved it. I thought it was great. But I like literally had to run from the theater across the street to where there was a Walmart, and in there like they had like 5 tins of the OP10 tins. So I went and grabbed those because
did you rip any of them?
I didn't rip any of them yet.
Rip one.
Can we rip one?
Rip one. Yo, if you get the law parallel, I will literally I need it now. That's
All right, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. I have, oh my god, I wish I have. So as I was saying, I have a few booster boxes at the Bandai store. I just didn't go today because I had stuff to do. But I have to go pick up the EBO2. So I've got them waiting there. And then also I was like on TikTok live. All right, guys, here's the rip. I'll tell them after. Guys, so this is OPO10 Royal Blood.
All right, we're only looking for the hits here. So what do we got here? We got Sabo. Oh, Alt Art Smoker / Tashigi.
Yeah, it's the parallel.
Right off rip.
That's not, I mean, that's not bad because it's not like it's not like a booster box where like you're getting 3 secret art rares and then it's gone.
All right.
Oh my god.
We got the Mihawk. And then we got Rebecca.
Rebecca-san. And doesn't it come with a promo, right?
It sure does.
And
is
so
it
this
is it Roger or is it Roger or is it Luffy?
Both.
Roger. Roger. Let's go, Roger.
Roger. Let's see. Ooh, you would be wrong, son.
But that's foiled texture?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean that's like a $10 card right now, though.
Yeah.
The foiled texture is Don is a
I love the Gear 5 Dons. They look super sick.
So as a collector, I sort of and a player, I suppose, I will never understand texture cards because you always play with them or keep them in sleeves. Always.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I was wondering. So I've been collecting them for a while. Recently started playing within the last few months. Haven't gone to any like local tourneys. I just play on sim or with friends. But are you allowed? Like I know in other, especially when it's like low stakes, low level tournament, it's not like regional, like anything like that. It's just at your local game shop. You're allowed to like print cards off, to use in the tournament to like make your full deck.
You use proxies. See, I make them as a side hustle, so I'm all for it. But I've been to probably must be 2-3 dozen LGSs in different game stores to sell and stuff like that. Some love it and love the idea of it. Some hate it with and I mean like they'll just kick you out. Go leave now. You can't do that.
Yeah, I get it because it's business.
No. Yeah, that's it. That's the reason. But the reason they will give you, if they don't want to be honest and say, "Look, you're losing us money," they'll go, "Oh no. Bandai won't let us. It's official." And it's like that's true to a degree if it's an official Bandai tournament. But the problem is, if you go to an LGS and they have prize cards, it's technically an official Bandai event.
Yeah. Which most of them are right now.
No, all of them. Unless you're playing at friendlies, just like with a random person technically I mean, they were clever to do it for this exact reason, because Pokemon used to do it a long time ago, and then people stopped buying it to play, which makes the business look bad when it's only for collection only, so they stopped doing it as much. But now it's so bad. So bad.
I'm just glad they don't do that in I've seen so many, and I haven't seen any crackdowns because like they usually do stuff like that. Is like I just love as far as like a collector standpoint, like I love the fact that Funko you can get like tons of customs and stuff like that, and just for like collection reasons, but like even for collections, like some people, I'm like a part of a group on Facebook about like card game, the One Piece card games, and they will get like on people's cases for being like or trying to like promote their like custom cards in there. I'm just like, dude, who gives a shit? Like it's not that serious.
It's exactly.
I just want to know for the playing standpoint. Like if I don't have, like what are they stopping the kid that doesn't have enough money to go?
Yes.
10 alt art laws.
Yes.
Use them. Wanted kid poster.
Yes.
Like come on.
Yeah, they are.
That's my things. So they are.
They when it comes to stuff like custom leaders and custom Don, even people care then because it promotes people doing it.
Yeah.
And like I said, these are cards that have no value.
I'm sorry, Bandai, I'm sorry, but
they also it's also really stupid. I feel like I feel like some of the cards they look so cool, but it's like to buy enough sets to actually play with and stuff like that. Like that's just a lot of money. And if you guys can crack down on scalpers, then do it. So that way I can actually buy stuff for price, because there's so many people.
They do it in Japan by law.
Well, they need to do it here.
Oh, they never will. It makes them too much money.
Well, that's the crazy thing, because if you look at the booster box price here versus there, listen, they're all coming out at about 140-esque, right? When they're brand new. Obviously, Japan, Korea, the East is a few sets ahead. And so the price there automatically drops. But what's lame is you're not allowed to use East cards in West tournaments, even if they're up to that.
Do you know what's funny? You are, but only for Dom, which is ridiculous because the Dom apart from the words Dom, it doesn't make any difference. But for the first 4 sets, you were not allowed to use any other than like either Eastern or Western Dom.
Another thing that's just so annoying is like there's also like I've seen it at least where like people are super hardcore that you can't even have your like a graded leader card be the leader card of your deck.
Oh well, leader, I don't get that because you're gonna put
it's separate from your deck anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because again they want to gatekeep because the fewer people that play, the fewer people there are to win tournaments against them.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
That is crazy.
It's bad. I've played pretty much every TCG out there, and I've never found a TCG community that are not gatekeepy because either there's the scalper gatekeepers or there's the player gatekeepers. See, One Piece had the really big problem to start with prize cards in the early tournaments. I was in the first ever Western tournament, because the first one was actually done in the UK. Believe it or not, before it was in America, before it was anywhere. And it was not too far from where I live. And the very first set of prize cards were stolen at knife point.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah, it's 110,000 pounds worth of cards just stolen.
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to steal a card at knife point already.
Yeah. There's
which one?
I got 2 booster boxes of OP5 from a LGS that was near me, and my friend was like, "Oh, like I'll pay you for it," and so like I had to decide which one to give him, and I gave him one, and he pulled this signature Oda card, and I was really, yeah,
rough.
Wow.
And I was like, and I opened up mine, and I got trash, and so I was like thinking about it.
Yeah,
but no, he's a great friend. But he got it graded, and it got graded.
He was an amazing friend. Now he's just a great friend. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no.
The only One Piece card that I gatekeep myself personally.
What is up, guys? We are live. Go ahead, broker. I'm just.
Oh no! I own I won't say exactly how many, but more than one copy of the super pre-release Luffy card. The prize card.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like
I was buying those before people knew what they were worth.
They're doing Snake Man I saw a Snake Man for that. I sent you if you want.
Releases?
Taku, you don't have to if you want, but it's just a live IG. If you want to jump in on that, you don't have to. I don't know if your phone's not set up, but guys, what's up? What's up, Rengoku? Let's hop in to it because I know we're gonna have a lot to talk about, and it's already 6 o'clock, and I know some of us are hungry, and I've been not sick this week, so I've been eating food again. So
that's great. That's good.
Yeah, that is
good info.
Yeah, guys. So my question of this week is, if you could choose. So there's obviously the rumors of a canonical One Piece movie for next year, right? If you could pick one thing for it to be on, and I think this will segue good into what we're talking about tonight because I feel like we're probably going to have the same answers. If you could pick one thing that they haven't talked about yet, or with how much information is still left in this short amount of time to make into a movie, where we get all the answers we want, so yes, this is a pretend world. We want this canon movie is going to fill in the whole blanks of something for you. What would it be? I mean, mine's God Valley, hands down, for me, it's either God Valley or like do an Insurgent Serpent movie, but that I think we have to wait till, we find out what Dragon's deal is, which if you tuned in last week, is another 12 years.
So me personally, I would love to see just like a Roger movie. And that could entail the events of God Valley, or it could stop right up into the point. Now we got like a lot when it comes to like a little, we only got like a tiny little taste of Roger from the perspective of Odin, because as soon as we got to that point, he had already been sick. He had already been traveling for years. Like, I want to see from like, and it could even skip little parts along the way, but like hit on the major events from when he first saw Rayleigh in the boat and asked him to leave, like with him. I want to see how he gathered his crew.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because that to me is super interesting. Like, how did he get a fishman on his crew? What was the egg on his ship? Where did he get it? Like,
where's the egg now?
Where's the egg now? Yeah,
that's like, my big question. Where's the egg?
There's just so much when it comes to Roger, and I feel like everyone really wants God Valley, and I do too. Don't get me wrong. I want that more than anything, but I think that the best way you could do God Valley is episodically, and I feel like you could do a Roger movie much better. Because it wouldn't have to be crazy. Like, it would, like, you could see him like first learn how to use hockey, and it would be really awesome. Like, you could have all these things. You could have him first finding Ace and being like, this sword is calling to me. Like, there could be so many cool things, and it could be canon, but it could also just be like, it could be either. Yes. Like,
but so I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's my thing. So if you had to pick one thing for a canon movie coming out next year, knowing where we are in the story, like, because like we'll get the flashbacks right as we're about to hit like peak moments right before, because that's what he does, you know, that's what they do now. They leave us on these cliffhangers. So would you really want to, you know, in less than 365 days, not find out about God Valley?
Here's my issue with having a God Valley movie, and it's the same issue I had with Demon Slayer when they made canon movies, is they'll make a fucking movie, and then they'll be like, by the way, we're going to go back, and we're going to make you watch that movie a second time, but like shittier. And I'm like, why would I do that? And it's like, I also know that, you know,
fair,
because of Japanese releases being more prominent, but not all the way. Like, I know when it came to like watching the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie and stuff like that, like I had to find an AMC theater, and like some people don't have the ability to do that, and then that just increases pirating. So I kind of get it. It would have to be a major theatrical release for a God Valley movie to be, you know, viable. But I agree. Like, God Valley's probably, like, God Valley and Ancient Kingdom are like top two. Roger would be something that I just personally want, because I like Roger a lot and I want to know more about him. And I also think it would be really great just to see the possibility that he did find another girl along the way and have Crocodile. So it just feeds into my other theories. Listen.
You're like, I don't actually want this, because it'd be dope. I want it so I can prove that I was
right.
That is
fine.
This is agenda piece.
No, it's not. That's fine as long as he still doesn't end up being Luffy's mother. As long as it's Crocodile's kid, fine. Luffy's mother, no.
Listen,
that would be it. I think that's honestly, Broker, I know that you still have to pick what you'd want the movie on, and we still have to get into our topic today. But
mine's way more boring.
Broker, for you personally, what's worse? Law using his fruit to sacrifice himself to save Luffy, or Croco Mom?
Doesn't matter what I say. That, because so Crocodile
over Croco Mom.
Yeah. I'll explain why. Crocodile being Luffy's mother, would be so out of left field that even 50 years after One Piece is finished in the year 2075, it doesn't matter because people would still not believe it. People would say, "No, it was just a joke." People just they'd put their fingers in their ears and a gun to their head and say, "No, it was just a joke by Oda." Whereas Law sacrificing himself so Luffy can live forever shits all over Corazon's sacrifice, and it shits all over Luffy's. Every time Luffy has talked about death, it's been, "Oh, when you're dead, there's nothing left but your bones," and stuff like it. Luffy stated before that he doesn't want to live forever. So it's like so you're forcing Luffy to live forever that he doesn't want to do while sacrificing his friend Law.
I actually wholeheartedly agree with him. I would rather Crocomom be a thing than for Law to bring Luffy back. That's not it for me.
Taku said last week.
Because we're not going to get into this because we're not going to. This is supposed to be a one-word thing.
Sorry. I thought the one-word question was your first question about.
It is
the movie.
So, answer that one.
That's easy. Again, I don't want God Valley. I don't want Ancient Kingdom. I don't want Roger Backstory. I want to see the very first Davy Back fight.
Oh, okay.
However far back in time we have to go.
Canon. That doesn't have to be.
No, but again, I have a reason why. Because so what Taki was saying about the Demon Slayer movies, believe it or not, I actually respect them more for doing that because I dislike any media of any kind where I have to do additional reading or additional watching. It's why I've completely given up on the MCU because now to watch an MCU movie, you need to do X different, how many different hundreds of hours worth of watching. You need to watch all the TV shows. You need to read all of this. You need to watch all of this, every movie for the last 25 years. No, make media that someone can sit down with their friends, with their kids and watch and then go and do something else.
I feel you. I can understand that. But yeah, speaking of like X amount of watch hours, I'm super excited for this Darth Maul series that we are getting. And I was doing reading on it. Did you know that this Darth Maul series is actually based on what George Lucas gave Disney.
Darth Talon. I know all about this.
As what he wanted to come after the trilogy.
So that's half true.
Him, Darth Maul, having apprenticed Darth Talon and running the crime syndicate.
Yeah.
It's what George Lucas gave Disney to come after.
Somewhat. So the story isn't the same. The events and the names are all that's the same. That's it. Nothing else.
Not what I heard.
No. So this is from the Lucas estate. Because who do you think they asked first about this? George Lucas.
When did they say that?
What, 2 weeks ago, maybe more? It was it was with a date they gave for the first trailer when they said the first trailer is coming out X.
So I have a question on this. Just a quick one because it's just like a yes or no type thing, or like, would you prefer it because it's going to be animated? Would you prefer it live action over animated?
No, animated all the way.
Listen, I think they crushed it with Clone Wars, and that was before they really were putting like insane budget into Disney animation. So I'm not worried about the animation quality. I know that they can pull a good story from animation with what they did with Clone Wars.
Do you mean George Lucas Clone Wars or the Disney-ish Clone Wars? The CGI one or the cartoon one?
So I like both, to be honest. The cartoon one was sick though.
Yeah. They made General Grievous genuinely terrifying.
General Grievous is literally one of my favorite characters.
No, he was when the animation part of it was canon. That was absolutely amazing.
I mean, I just like, dude, like how cool is a half robot, half android that's got like smoker's cough with 4 lightsabers? That's literally me.
What's so cool is they show why he has that cough.
Yeah.
Because Mace Windu crushes his chest. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like, these are things that I love about that
shit. This is
series.
also where we find out why he's so obsessed with Dooku, because he wanted to be a Jedi and had no Force powers at all. And actually, the mechanical parts come about because the very first experiments they do with like clones that can use the Force, they try it on Grievous to see if you can give someone Force powers with like blood transfusions and stuff. And turns out you can't.
What is the thing that they measure the Force in again?
Metachlorians, but don't
Metachlorian.
talk about that.
Well, my metachlorian power is boosting hard right now, and I feel something coming. Yes, we're here. We hit God Valley Day, ladies and gentlemen. The Force is strong in me. What's up, Hassan? Thank you for coming all the way from a country with a red flag and some gold in the middle, which is a few of them. So, sorry, I just can't.
Quite a few.
Yeah. So, guys, we're talking about God Valley today, and I know we're gonna. I hope get through it. We're gonna jump right in only because we start a little bit late. We like to talk about other stuff pre-hand, and then we could talk about One Piece 4 days. And my man ripped some bangers today, so go check out the beginning of the video. Like this, subscribe to me, to Nerdtaku. You know where to find us. Broker's on Discord. His numbers will be in the description. Go fight him. You'll lose. I've tried many times. Everyone's tried many times. So I know Taku has something that he wants to get off his chest, that he got off of his chest, I want to say January of last year. And now maybe has added to it, or just wants to refresh the community that he called this over a year and a half ago. What's up, Mugen?
So yeah, I definitely do, because I've been, as soon as we got the God Valley flashback, as soon as I saw who was present there, I just knew exactly what was happening. So to start off, I would like to say ahead of time, because I'm that confident in this, that whenever we actually do get this full flashback, we'll find out that God Valley, it was actually Thriller Bark. Yep, and 100%. The reason why this is, and this is insane. So when we first flashback to Thriller Bark, we learn that Brook is originally from the West Blue.
Yep.
We also learn during the whole thing, after we mess up Moria, they build, Frankie and Usopp and Brook build a memorial to the Rumbar pirates on Thriller Bark. And in doing so, Brook states that this is part of his homeland, because he literally says that this chunk of it was originally from the West Blue, which is his homeland, and that is why he wanted to put his crew to rest there, because his entire crew was made from people that he served in the military with, because he was part of the Knights of the Kingdom that was originally on that said island. So what I believe is that originally Brook is from God Valley, which makes sense, because by the time we see Brook, 50 years has passed. And in that time period, all of Roger's adventuring happened, because Brook even said, I think I remember a little rookie by the name of Gold D. Roger, meaning Roger was so young. He had not gone to God Valley at that point, because that was 38 years ago in the story. And that means that that happens during the 50 years when he's in the Florian Triangle. Now, what happened was, while all this is happening, you have the strongest people on God Valley fighting, and it completely decimated God Valley. They said it was wiped off the face of the map, but in all reality, what happened was it fractured because of Whitebeard's power. and it cracked into many pieces. And there just so happened to be somebody who lost their entire crew at one point against Kaido, one of the people that was present at God Valley. And in doing so, Moria was looking for a place to go. He ended up finding Dr. Hogback, and they ended up using their underworld ties to find out the hidden truth about a place where so many strong people had passed. What do? They go there, they create a ship, and Dr. Hogback sews everyone back together, and Moria starts gathering shadows to make his zombie army. Now, not only does that provide us with context for why 3 Rocks members were part of Moria's crew. You had Captain John, you had Silver's Axe, and there was one other one that I'm not sure was named. But they were all seen as like people. When we get the God Valley flashback and we see Whitebeard and all the other pirates that were on Rox's crew, you see 3 of them. You see Captain John, you see Silver's Axe, and then you see another person that looks strikingly like a different one of the Rocks members who we haven't gotten named yet. So it makes perfect sense to me. And another reason why I think it would be so chef's kiss that all this works out is because what happened to Brook during the time skip? Well, he got pushed to a summoning circle that was similar to the Gorosei. And when he gets pushed to that summoning circle, he starts asking questions to the cultists and finds out that these summoning circles are used in these dark rituals to summon demons. And having all of that knowledge, he does digging himself because he's like, that's so weird that there are demons in this world. They think I'm a demon. And he ends up learning the truth about God Valley through his touring as Soul King and by interrogating these people that were on this island, which makes me go to my next point, of which he was the only one who said God's Knights when he saw Gunko and all the other ones, meaning he knows.
He knows
what took place on his home. There's no way that you would see a piece of your home that was part of a new ship that you knew was part of your original island in the West Blue and not start to ask questions, right? Like, that would have been my first thing, but he was just probably like, oh, I'll find out eventually. But when he had 2 years to tour around and figure stuff out, I mean, I would do some digging.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing that makes this all the more great is the fact that we learn that the island known as God Valley is not government affiliated. And the reason why that makes the most sense of why Brook was there is because kingdoms that are not government affiliated have their own armies. And that would make sense that Brook was part of a non-government affiliated island and joined their military. So to me, this makes all the sense in the world. You got a wealth, and I mean a wealth of corpses to build the strongest army. And I would imagine that there was plenty of structures that were on God Valley. So what happened when Moria took over? Well, he took a piece of the castle and built his own around it, let alone the gate that is a part of that. So he had all the raw materials, all the things. The only thing he needed to do was gain shadows, and that was super simple for him. All he had to do is travel around the Florian Triangle, and he'd be fine. So to me, it makes all the sense in the world that God Valley is definitely Thriller Bark.
I mean, it definitely hits all the notes. It definitely, I mean, I can see it happening. I know I mentioned to you guys I was rewatching Thriller Bark this week up into this because I believe it is Thriller Bark for other reasons. I think that the hands praying was split by Ryuma. the god of the blade. Like, why wouldn't he be able to split through a mountain? Or I believe that what's up, Tim? How's it going? Or I believe that, I think that it was a test island for one of the ancient weapons, and which would mean why it's scattered. And it actually got me thinking into a theory, but just not really a theory, just got me thinking about like what was Oda basing this off? Is this based off like, because he pulls from real world history a lot, right? So I was like, was this like Nagasami, like what was this? Like, was this the test of the nuke? Like for us, like where did this come from? Like where? And so I was just like pulling up historical events and trying to like line them up with Thriller Bark this week, like what made sense. And I just came to the conclusion that I think that God Valley, yes, it was, like we know of the games that were being played there, but I think it was also a test site for an ancient weapon, and that's why there's pieces split, pieces broken, one turned into a quote unquote ship. Yeah, Broker.
So again, I love all of that. My only thing, like you said, exactly the same as you with Brooke and his identification of the Holy Knights and stuff like that. It had to be something like that. I, like you, I love the idea that the group that he goes to during the time skip seems fantastic. Again, if he learns more about the underworld and stuff like the occult via the place where he goes, and that's how he knows about things. I would love that, especially if the people on that island, again, if that's where people like Gunko was recruited from. Like again, if he knows her, and again, if she later became a member of that, and or even remember, we know they were sacrificing people. What if she was one of the people on a previous attempt when they had that circle was sacrificed? What if not every island gives money? If islands don't have money, they have to give people instead. Maybe they give, again, wives, whatever, all these sort of stuff that we know the Celestial Dragons hunt and stuff like that. And maybe that's how she knows about Brooke.
It's very possible.
What? Not to get like too political, but what about like do you guys at all see like the parallel between what God Valley could be and like the Nuremberg trials? Like being this huge incident that their government is trying to cover up these huge worldly atrocities, right? And of these high-ranking people in the world, which is obviously the WG. I just think there's so much interesting things that can be pulled from what God.
You can even add to that. You could put Operation Paperclip, and that's where you get people like Vegapunk from.
No, exactly. But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, even something that's probably more relating to One Piece would be like the fall of Atlantis. God Valley vanishing from the world.
Oh, I think that I would put that in there, but I put that as the Ancient Kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, so Atlantis could very well be the Ancient Kingdom. I think that Sanji's take on the All Blue is actually something just like Luffy's fruit that got lost in translation. I think we're gonna find out that the All Blue is Blue Star, which they recently released as the name, or Blue Star, right? Blue Star.
Blue Star.
Blue
Star.
Right? So I think that we're gonna find out that that like on Blue Star, like the Ancient Kingdom is actually what the All Blue was, and it's not about different fish. It's just like something that's been lost in translation as time goes on. It's actually the Ancient Kingdom where many different types of people, giants, Shandians, everyone lived together harmoniously. And so Sanji was
Do you want to know
What?
something cool about the name Blue Star? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Taco.
I was gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, it could be that the all blue is just the actual like unification of races, basically Big Mom's dream, all in one place, which could be the ancient kingdom.
And it's the story's all about Big Mom, actually. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Oda with
the
the
real
Grammy.
MC.
In the real world, do you want to know what Blue Star was the original name for?
What?
Neptune.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's through Copernicus. They identified it as a blue star because through a telescope, that's what it looked like. It looked like
5/7/27. We figured out God Valley, the truth to the ancient kingdom, and cut, guys. See you next week. Have a good one. See you never again.
We're done.
We start and finish on the best one we've ever had, guys.
Yep, we're done.
With going back to the Thriller Bark part, I actually have again. It's not much. It's a little way that you could have how the islands got there. You could have it done via the
ancient weapons.
No, well, I was going to say either. So we still don't really know how the weapon that fired on Lulicia works. For all we know, it's not a weapon as such. It's a giant teleport, and it just sends one piece of matter from one place to somewhere else, and that's why there's this giant hole left afterwards. Or failing that, you could even have it be one of the prior users of what's his name, Pizarro's fruit.
Yeah.
They rode the island there by hand.
So what if it's almost like a reverse Pangea? Like what if all the water, I mean, I guess in regular Pangea all the water would be connected anyways. Yeah. But what if the weapon is what made everything split? What made
I have a slightly different take. Apart from Jaya, we have no idea how land gets to some of these sky islands.
So that was actually going to be my next thing was I thought that in Whitebeard's prime, of course, that's when God Valley's happening.
Yeah.
The first time he touched his awakening was at God Valley, and it accidentally caused the whole place to fracture and make knock-up streams that shot the parts of God Valley all around the world. Wow. So there are other islands here and there.
There's a problem because remember the knock-up stream, the first one on record is 480 years ago because that's the one that fires Jaya into the sky.
But remember, fruits reincarnate. So it
I thought you meant. So you mean in general it being the work of the Gura user? I thought you meant just Whitebeard.
No, I think that in general, there are things that happen in nature that create those, but I think that it's possible that they can be created through man-made means.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, go on.
Go, Broker.
No,
go.
I was just going to go. So at the moment, we don't, apart from Jaya, we don't know of knock-up streams occurring anywhere else. As far as because even Nami, as a sort of weather-related thing, even she had never heard of it, and she knew about weather from again what we now know as the new world. But again, even there, nowhere else in the world reportedly has it occurred apart from around the shores of Jaya. Because again, like I said, Nolan had been around the whole world at that point, and he had never come across it.
Okay.
There's also maybe a piece that it happens in different seas, and the reason I say this is because when we see Yarouge, he's at a sky island in the New World that Kaido takes a face dive off of. That
one's made of the hard cloud stuff. That one's the one that's held up by balloons. because remember, there's two types of Sky Island. There's the type that are made of those hard clouds, which is the same ones that Weatheria is on, and that the island, like you mentioned, where below the place where they were holding the secret meeting, obviously that one's held up by balloons. But there are ones that are spread around other Sky Islands, because Anel mentions that he is from another set of Sky Islands where there was no more birth, what he calls it, and stuff like that.
That was
it had all gone. Yeah, and that one, all the Earth had gone, it had all been used, and that's why he wants to go to endless birth. Because he only takes over Skypiea because at that time it is the highest concentration of birth.
Now I need to research.
Yeah. Do you so you know how Elbaf is obviously heavily connected to Shanks? Do you think that when we, first of all, I love how everybody's like, oh, I'm so stoked we're getting God Valley in 2 weeks in the anime, and they don't realize that we're not getting God Valley. Like every anime leaker is like, God Valley in 2 weeks. I'm like, guys, we're not getting it. They're like, yes, we are. I'm like, no, we're not. Like, you're gonna be thoroughly upset. But I will say this past week's when they introduced Saint Saturn, is the highest rated anime episode of 2005 right now with a 9.8. So it's beating out Solo Leveling, beating out everything. And I'm not gonna lie, they made Saturn look tough. Like, and
so far, we've not actually seen him do anything in terms of
listen, I agree with you, but the intro of him, and speaking of that, Vincent Chansard went on to say that Luffy wasn't trying against Kizaru, that he's just stalling, and there's high diff because he's just playing with him. I don't care so much about whether Luffy is playing with him or not. What I care about is how do you guys, and then we get back to God Valley, how do you guys feel about a world-class, in the top 3 animators right now, going on record saying something like this, that could potentially change how people look at the story? Because I'm not going to lie, when I was first reading this, I didn't get that vibe. I
still don't.
Because I'm sorry, guys. I mean, y'all saw it. Like, Kizaru gets freaking rocked in the side of the head when he's like looking at the the teleport circle, right?
You have to remember as well, as at the moment we don't know that they've read. We can assume, because we'd like to hope that we believe that way. We don't know they've read the manga. If they're anime only, then I can sort of see where people might get that idea, but they don't know anything that's going to come up with Vegapunk and Kizaru's backstory, with Bonnie, with Kuma. They know none of that.
Get your tissues ready, people. There's going to be more tissue sales than there's baby oil sales to Diddy.
You can't say that.
That's a lot.
You're saying you can't say that anymore. Bonnie's underage.
wrong reason for the tissues, homie.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're not affiliated with Broker. We don't know what he's doing. For all we know, we're actually talking to Dofi. So
yeah, I don't know what the age of consent is where he lives.
16. It's the same as New York.
16 is not the age of consent anywhere in the U.S., bro.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
no, it is.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It is in New York.
No, it's not in New York. All right, I'm not going to.
Let's say then it was, because I've been watching Law and Order, and it is. So yeah.
I don't know which Law and Order you're watching.
SVU.
I'm just kidding.
But here's my thing: is one, I love Vincent Chansard. I think that he's great. I think that he's good for the community as far as the animators go. But the thing is, like, I just feel as though, to me, a little bit like
me too.
To put that preface on everything. You're not Oda, and like, so for you to assume that, is kind of crazy. Me personally, I assumed it because I just think Luffy's like that. I think that if here's the problem is, and these two things are the antithesis of each other. Yeah. If Luffy was trying, he's packing Kizaru, maybe hard diff. But the problem is Gear 5 is goofy, therefore he's not trying.
Exactly. That's
and so like those Luffy's things like are if Luffy base that was boxing Kaido on the rooftop using Conqueror's coding was to go crazy on Kizaru, then I think that he could probably pack him if he really used like a Red Rock with, you know, full Conqueror's coding, Rio, the whole 9, but I feel as though Luffy just loves going Gear 5, and I get it. I love seeing it, but there's a lack of seriousness that comes with that makes me feel like not exactly that Luffy is acting like Kaido, but almost like he is, like he's playing to his comp. Luffy Gear 2 would have destroyed Awakened Lucci, in my opinion. He didn't have to go Fear 5. He didn't have to go Gear 5, but he did because Lucci asked.
He asked for it.
He asked for the ass beating of a lifetime, like, it was a generational beating, but in doing so, he let Lucci just sneak around and then pack up Sentomaru practically, So it's like, if we got a serious Luffy, I think that it would be different. But since we're not getting serious Luffy, like I think there's something to be said that Gear 5 is goofy and amazing and has all this Toon Force and does all the funny things. But I think that Luffy is just, it's almost like he's test driving his form. Exactly. He still doesn't know the extent of it. He doesn't even know what it is. So therefore, he's just doing what he feels is right. That's why when people are like, "Oh, what is that for him?" He's like, "It's when I feel the most free." Like, he does not know what he's doing. He's driving a car that he doesn't even have a license. Yeah, he doesn't even have a license for. So
it was the same when Luffy used Gear 3 against Lucci.
Yeah, but
when he's using it, especially when he knocks him on board the ship and stuff like that, Lucci gets every single hit in on Luffy after that first time Gear 3 hits. After that, Gear 3 never hits Luffy again, not once.
Yeah, it's just.
Listen, go ahead. No, I totally agree with you. I love Toon Force. I love how it's animated. But to me, though, it's not, you can't take it that serious, like in the Kizaru fight. Like it's very exaggerated. It's even different than it was in the Kaido fight. And I think that's because it was like, to me, visually, when I was watching it, not reading it, just the awakening of it, like the tribal music, there was like, it wasn't so many like cartoon hammer sound, you know what I mean? Like the 90s Acme sounds, basically, And so still, yes, like we saw Bajrang, we saw Red Hot, and now he's using Rainbow Star, like the difference in those are like, just even how they're animated look different in levels of seriousness, like one's Rainbow Road and the other one's, you're playing Star Wars Pod Racing. One you're playing Mario Kart. One you're playing Pod Racer.
I have a follow-up. I have a follow-up to this. Do you think then that if you're going by what this guy said, do you think that Luffy was struggling more against Kizaru or against Saturn? Because both same things apply. He wasn't being serious with one. He's not being serious with the other. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I think you can have it both ways, but I don't think. Listen, I'm gonna say I don't.
It's either a serious form or it's not.
No. But that's not what I'm not saying it's not a serious form, because I said it was serious with Kaido.
Yeah. But you've been mentioning all the different things that are exclusive to Egghead, the sound effects, the animation differences and stuff, the goofier names. All of those are Egghead exclusives. They take place as much what they do against Saturn as they do against Kizaru.
Okay. I think he was more serious against Saturn. I think because for a while there, it was him versus Saturn and Kizaru until he made him pancakes, and then in the aspect, I think that Saturn is a more difficult opponent than Kizaru. The only reason I think that, though, is because Saturn is more tricky. He is like Kizaru. You know what you're getting with Kizaru. Saturn was a brand new opponent that he's never faced off against. He didn't know where he was strength-wise.
And the regen thing as well.
Yeah, it just makes him a trickier opponent, because
I was referring more to his demeanor in the fight didn't seem to change. We don't see any serious faces. He's laughy and goofy just as much as he is and stuff. In the manga, anyway, how they're going to animate it maybe it'll be different, but the manga is play for play.
I have pushback on that, because when he gets super serious and he grabs Kizaru when he's big and grabs Saturn by the fucking face, and he's like, bro, you guys are not getting past me. And that's when he turns up. He flattens them both, uses them as pizzas, and packs up Kizaru in like a second.
That's the opposite of serious. Squashing somebody like you're doing it with a cartoon mallet and getting the accordion sort of effect afterwards. That's the opposite of serious. That's not serious at all.
But
you don't see that in the UFC, is what I'm saying.
It'd be cool if you did, though.
It would be. But then he'd probably be in the WWE.
There you go. Send that to Oda now. Anime UFC for when he's finished One Piece.
No, like I just think that I think he was serious. I think that is him being serious. Like, he didn't give them a chance after that moment. Like, he's as serious as I think Gear 5 could be in that moment. Now, the fact that he made him pizzas and then just like threw them, and Kizaru hit that Navy ship so hard he was done ski. But Saturn was goofy back. He turned into a flying saucer and came right back and summoned his boys to jump Luffy. It was kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I think that we'll find that Luffy can be goofy and serious at the same time. I really do feel like that's something that we'll get. We're not going to get like the way that people, really thought Gear 5 was going to look, with like the crazy, like basically Snake Man, full body hockey and all that other stuff. Like, I don't think we're ever getting that serious. Like, I think that we're getting Gear 5, but we're getting like a no nonsense as far as like he's taking his opponent seriously. Because I feel like if Kaido came back and Kaido was as strong as he was, I think Gear 5 goes harder than it did last time.
100%, I agree with you, but I think we are going to get a serious Luffy. I think it's going to involve the Mother Flame. I think, whether it be like, the only thing that I'm worried about is if a power up for him comes from the Mother Flame, is it going to be a moment of like a power up, or is it going to be a form that gets unlocked because of the Mother Flame? So is it going to be like a serious thing that we see for, a minute, and then he doesn't know how to get back there, or is it something that unlocks?
I have a take on that covers both ideas. So
hit us.
So I think you're right. So I think we're going to see Luffy be serious with Gear 5 because of the Mother Flame. And I think what's going to happen is that when the Gods Knights on Elbap and stuff start, causing real trouble, and that they once again they don't have a way to bypass this regeneration at the moment. I think that one of the things that Vegapunk is going to do is try and use the Mother Flame when Frankie gets back to where Vegapunk and Lilith and that are. He's going to tell them about the giant mech. And he's going to say, look, can't you use that? Can't you use this? He'll use what part of the Mother Flame he's got there to power up that giant mech to buy time so that everyone on Elbap can escape. Sort of like a similar way that Emmet did and stuff like that. He bought that time so people could get away. I think it'll be the same sort of thing. Eventually, the big giant mech will go down just because it's so old. And that after that, the Mother Flame will be available. The Gods Knights will know, look, we've been ordered to get the Mother Flame if we can. Here's our chance. And that Luffy's way to stop them from doing it is just to eat it. So literally just like he has no other options. He's already in like a giant form, let's say. It literally just either grabs it or eats it. Whatever he feels he needs to do to stop them getting it. That's when we get a Mother Flame powered up Luffy. And then we could see somebody like Loki or someone else, someone that Luffy really cares about on Elbap, see them die. And that's when Luffy loses control and snaps. And the nightmare form of Nika that we see that Sommers creates. Or is it Killingham? Whichever one it is. Yeah,
it's Killingham. You always do that.
I know it's one or the other.
It's the One Piece thing where I get to know it before you.
But yeah, and that's what it'll be. It'll be that we'll just see him snap and see him lose control and start. And again, this playful Luffy that again all the Straw Hats will have seen up to this point. It will just be turned on its head. I'd quite like that, especially it then forces Luffy to not always lose control.
Yeah. So, Broker, I'm going to bring it back to God Valley. You touched on what we thought about GV. Do you have any thoughts, theories? I mean, I know you do about God Valley. Why don't you hit us with the shadows? Something, or what's your favorite? I know you don't have to dig too far into the
my
code exe file.
My God Valley one actually doesn't involve that. I think you've got a better take on this than I do with the shadows thing. The thing I think is going to be interesting about God Valley when we eventually see a full-on flashback, I think it's going to be the first place we see Dragon as a Marine. And I think it's going to be the thing that makes Dragon go, yeah, I'm out. That's it. I'm done. I'm gone.
Wow. I mean, see, that makes sense to me because these are all reasons why we haven't, like what I said about last week with the power, being a different, not devil fruit, not hockey, but, a mystical, magical power that involves, signs and patterns and stuff. You can't tell his story without ruining this, right?
Yeah, and without having a start. Dragon's story now, he's been in the story so long, it only makes sense for one of the first times we see Dragon to be in a flashback. You can always flash forward next to it and immediately at the same time, but if we need to see Dragon's story, we need to see it from the beginning at this point.
Well, or it needs to be told while we're getting something brand new to the story.
Yeah.
I.e. a new type of power, because that's why they couldn't bring it up yet, because we still haven't even figured out all of hockey yet, so why would we bring a new, we barely know about devil fruits, excuse me, why would we bring another power source into it, at least let us build some of this story up. So, Taku, God Valley, any last God Valley points?
No, I agree with that. I think that it would only make sense for God Valley to be Dragon's turning point. Someone I forgot to save who it was. Someone made a really interesting point that they think that Akainu Dragon
This
and
is me.
Kizaru. Well, no, and Kizaru were all at God Valley.
Yeah. Oh, this is similar to
I
me.
saw this. I saw this.
So what happened was they all saw what happened there, and they all chose different paths. And they went on to say that Akainu said, okay, this is justice and it's brutal, so therefore this is my path. Dragon said, this isn't justice, I can no longer walk this path. And Kizaru went the very like, basically was like, I can make better decisions if I have one hand on the wheel. And so they went down the path of Kizaru being part of Shield Sword. And Sword and Shield.
Other universe.
Yeah. And so if you notice, every time that Kizaru has gone against or gone to a certain point where he could have harmed the Straw Hats, he didn't. Even when he was about to kill Zoro on Sabaody, he waited an egregious amount of time because he was using observation haki to realize that Rayleigh was coming, and he knew that he was going to stop him. So when he saw, like, through his observation that Rayleigh was coming, he was just holding that pose there because, like, he can shoot a laser off, no problem. He held it there way long. And even when, like, other admirals were trying to kill Luffy at Marineford, it was Kizaru who ended up like basically stopping him from getting murked by other people by kicking him out of the way. And they even went as far as like, he could have blown up the whole scaffolding when he was going to free Ace, but he just nicked the key just slightly and was like, like, he was doing the most. And even now we get to see that Kizaru was the one who fed Luffy after he gassed out. Even after punching him right through his head, he was like, yeah, I'm going to still protect him. And they made the correlation that what is the most fitting thing here? The sun god and his partner, or the person that keeps him safe, is the light around him. And it's like, you can't have one without the other. Yeah. And so what is Kizaru known as? The Yellow Monkey, Monkey D. Luffy. Like, there's so many things that point to that Kizaru might actually be the one that we thought Aokiji was in a sword member that was actually trying to help the Straw Hats.
I mean, I see it. I can't say I don't see it.
See, that's close. Next week I'll do the full one of mine because that's close to mine, but it's not quite. Mine only involves Dragon being at God Valley, but the results of God Valley then bring your part into it, and what they learn of God Valley, exactly the same things go ahead, but they're not at God Valley to see it. They only learn about this third hand. So the only people that tell them about this are telling them half a story. So it's like, see, it even gives you a way to make even Akainu he knows they're guilty of crimes, but even he doesn't believe something that bad. Because you could even bring it back way later in the story that Akainu finds out that all of these horrible things actually are true and learns that truth from Dragon, because we know they have beef.
Yeah. Well, Broker, we got about 7 minutes if you want to hit us with it, because
I will try and do it in 7 minutes.
Not like I read spoilers, but I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week.
Oh, okay. Is there a chapter next week? I thought it was 2-week break.
I thought it was 2 weeks also.
So Golden Week was last week. We're getting a chapter this week, and then we're getting a break week.
Oh, okay, right. So basically, I think that the first
spread it out as much as possible.
Yeah. So when we do get Dragon's flashback, I think we're going to find out that Garp first, the same way Garp took Aokiji under his wing. Yeah, obviously people are thinking, well, why wouldn't he take his own son under his wing? His son was in the Navy, so why wouldn't he do that with his own son? I think Dragon refused. When he was around sort of like 17, 18, 19 years old, when he was working his way up through the ranks, he did not care. He completely disregarded, rebelling against your father. It's like, no, I want nothing to do with you. You've been sitting at the rank of vice admiral for so long now, and it's I want nothing to do with you. You've got this obsession with going after Roger. There's other pirates out there. Just leave it for other people to do. Stop trying to run the Navy all on your own. You're not even an admiral. Mind your place. And Garp is like, no, look. If you're going to do anything, just do not accept. If they offer you the rank of admiral, do not accept. Just say no. You can't. Just trust me. You don't want that kind of pressure. And Dragon again in his face. No, I don't care. And every time that Dragon has gone up the ranks, just behind him, by the skin of his teeth, has been Akainu, and that Akainu believes that it's all due to nepotism. Every time Dragon's been promoted first, you only got it because you're the son of Garp the hero. Go fuck yourself. If we were both the same, we'd be
story all this time, basically.
Exactly. And that Dragon is promoted as the world's youngest ever admiral. And that back then, I believe there were 4 admirals to cover each of the 4 blues. So if ever there is a major military sort of thing that takes place in the world, they can send an admiral to one of the 4 blues to quell things and stop that blue becoming a part of the new world.
That makes sense. There's 4,
exactly.
captains of the revs. So
exactly.
4 on 4.
Yeah, exactly. So that Dragon gets offered this promotion, and he's like, yeah, of course I'll take it. Of course I will. And the very first mission he gets sent on as an admiral is to God Valley. And it's like, he's been ignoring his father on all this. You keep saying they're bad. Look, pirates are bad. You saying we're worse than pirates? Shut up. Goes away, goes to God Valley, and sees the worst of the worst. Slaves, children being executed for fun, and it's like, what the hell have I done? And you could even make it so that we obviously know about Ivankov and Kuma and stuff like that. We could even make it so that one of the reasons they get away is because of Dragon. It's like, look, he just buys time for them to get away, like, turns the other cheek and stuff. It's like, yeah, I didn't see anything. Have you seen them? No, they're definitely not over there behind that tree. Don't look. And it just goes like that. And that's when Dragon decides to leave, and it's like, that's it. I'm just done. And obviously now, what I would really love is that if this whole time that again Garp has done a similar thing for his son, where it's been like, I will, again, I'll put my fingers in my ears. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely try. Oh, I really tried to go after the Revs today. Oh, they got away from me. Oh yeah, just what a shame. Oh no. And that he's been letting his son get away with it all this time. I think that'd be really good.
So I want to ask you on this thought, then we can have final thoughts, and then we're going to wrap up. What do you think about Figerland? What if he took the devil fruit, the Cerberus fruit, at GV, awoken the sword there, replaced the devil fruit with Shanks at GV, put him in the chest? Because we know Shanks was found there, but what if the sword was made there also?
Oh, you think that the other devil fruit, because remember, we know of 2, we don't know what the third one was, and you're thinking it's probably the Cerberus fruit.
I do. And I think the sword was made there, and I think we're gonna maybe find out that Figerland he's not good, but he didn't want, he thought that maybe he had twins, so he either thought of I can have both sons, in both worlds, which is gonna make my nobility go up, or I don't want, I want one of my sons to have a chance, maybe they didn't know he had twins, and he played it off as just one. And so he found that as a way out for one of them, and Stabby just got the short end of the stick.
Or the long end. He gets to live in literal paradise. He's surrounded by, servants and stuff. So it's
Broker, you're literally the worst human I know.
I'm well aware.
I'm literally gonna say that.
Okay,
he's living such a good life with all those slaves.
Yeah.
Let me guess. You would love Pokemon. You would love real life Pokemon as well.
He'd be like, I need that Vaporeon though for studies.
Yeah.
No, I'm busy with Lopunny at that point. Yeah, Broker. Broker? You have all these Pokemon. Yeah. Do you collect one? Are you trying to get one of every Pokemon? No. What do you mean? There's more than one type of Pokemon. Yeah, there's like hundreds. And why? What's in all of these? Lopunny.
Six Lopunnies is my team.
Yeah.
Six
Lopunny gym leader.
Yeah, 6 Lopunnies, and then all these other Lopunnies in Pokeballs that never get opened.
Worst fruit.
Wild stuff. But I like it. I do. I almost would think that. So I had a theory. I want to say it was way before we got almost anything God Valley. It was when the only thing that we knew was Rox was there, and Roger showed up, and Garp was there, and Roger and Garp teamed up to defeat Rox, and that was all we know. Like that was bare bones. Like, and I had a theory that actually Emu was there, and Emu had a power that was unlike. Well, this was at the time, all right? Yeah, stop it.
I'm kidding.
Don't break me down yet. But well, part of it was that Rox is this next like coming of Joy Boy, so she had to snuff it out herself. But I had a thought. So like I think of hockey like a skill tree. Where it's like you have your observation, you have your armament, and then you have your conquerors, and each one of those has branches that go through. Seemingly like the Wi-Fi hockey is like conquerors mixed with observation, where you can project it. Similarly, conquerors coding is like armament Rio, they branch in. But I figured there was the furthest extent of all three types were labeled as armament is the breath of all things. You can hit anything or cut anything or harm anything using this technique. Like it was all about that. Then observation, the furthest extent, is the voice of all things. And I theorized that the furthest extent to conquerors had 2 forms. And nobody, except for the very, 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 very elite few, could get it to one of those forms. And Emu was one of them. And I called it his version or her version, the command of all things. And it was the ability to push your will into someone else and they couldn't disobey.
Oh shit! That makes so much sense.
This is all. I swear to you not. And again, I think mine goes back further than yours because mine goes back years and years. But I think that basically it's this. I was going to mention this next time. I was going to say because there's more to my dragon theory and stuff like that. But I think that it's the devil fruit they have is basically Lucifer. Like it's like the devil. And that's what we get. The pointy arrow thing is actually like a devil sort of tail, yeah. And,
AKA the Nekomata.
Yeah, but the mythical ability of it is the ability to make unbreakable deals. And one of the things we learn from Dragon's flashback is that the reason Dragon has never made to move himself, he always has to order other people, is because one of the things that Garp knew is that whenever you are made an admiral in the Marines, you are brought before this random person.
And you have to make a deal.
Yeah, and you have to make a deal. And the thing is that when Sengoku was grabbing Garp at Marineford, he wasn't doing it just to save Akainu. He was doing it to save Garp's life. And that if Garp would have even thought about taking any action, instant death. That's it. You die. You either then. And
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love it. I do.
And it then gives us some sort of like backbone to characters like Garp and Dragon, because as much as people say, oh, he's trying to change the system from within, how long do you stay within a system that allows child slaves and murder? There's no making that system better. If he wants to make the world better,
after 20 years, do you get a pension or not? So
yeah, no, I'm saying if Garp were just trying to make the world better and nothing else, he'd join Dragon, because he knows that it's a better bet than the Celestial Dragons. Way better.
Yeah,
I mean, I love it. I do love it. You know, but if you want to finish yours, and then we got to wrap it up, guys. We're running low on time.
Yeah, as I said, I will continue the rest of mine next time. Kaku, go ahead.
But so to circle back, just to wrap everything up. Yeah. So my original thought was that the only person who had the antithesis of the command of all things was Rox. So Rox was the only one at God Valley that could actually resist the commands that Emu was giving. And that's why Garp and Roger teamed up to stop Rox, because he was born with this uncanny ability to resist the command of all things. And so
the will of D.
Well, basically. And so like, that's why I think Conquerors goes into two categories when it comes to like the command of all things and the freedom from all things. And so I thought,
sorry, go on.
Well, so it would be like, okay, Emu made Garp and Roger team up to fight Rox against their will, but Emu was that strong that they couldn't resist it, which is why Luffy mirrors Rox more than he does Roger in the grand scheme of things. And the reason why I think that made sense at the time and still could be is because he would want to snuff that out. And Garp never wanted to talk about God Valley, and that would have been like, and he hates being called the hero of the Marines because it's not something he's proud of. He's not proud that he had to literally team up with a pirate and serve the Celestial Dragons, the highest form of Celestial Dragon, to destroy someone. Like it to me, I think that it could still stand to reason, just because we also know that, you know, empires rise and fall in less than 100 years sometimes. And the only way that you can manage to keep people in check for that long is if they don't have a will to fight back.
Fear.
And what does Emu have? The will to make everyone obey him or her for the last 800 plus years. So that was one of my original theories about God Valley before we got the actual knowledge of everyone being there. But I still think that Emu might have that power regardless.
I agree with you. I think she could. And she guys, and I think that's all right. One word answers: he or she.
He.
She.
I'll tell you what then.
And the she's have it. And the she's have it.
You don't decide gender by votes. It's not how it works. Even these days. Anyway, right. So how about this then? I bet you both $100 that by the time we find out it's a he.
USD or quid, because that's like 160 exchange rate right now.
£100 if you want. £100.
Dude, by the time we figure it out, that £100 is gonna be like 3,000.
Yeah, especially with the inflation that we're about to get hit with.
Exactly.
Yeah, booster boxes are about to be $250.
Yeah.
But okay, so before we wrap, because I know we're about to.
Yeah.
My wife had what I thought would have been the greatest idea for a non-canon One Piece movie.
Go on.
So she said, what if they did a tournament, but the tournament was a free-for-all battle where everyone's devil fruits get pushed out of them and get randomly assigned to someone else throughout the fight.
Awesome. Have you seen Trigon battle in the Badlands?
No, I did not.
So you could literally do that though with somebody. You could do it with Law's fruit. Just where everyone gets given a completely random body. So the same with like Tashigi and stuff like that. Same way it worked then. That'd be great. Because then you could include people that don't have devil fruits at all.
Exactly. Like imagine all of a sudden Kid's fruit gets pushed into Frankie and all of a sudden he's building mechs and just wrecking people. Or like, you know, all of a sudden like Usopp gets like, I don't know, Green Bull's fruit or something, and someone shoots him and he like starts freaking out because he thought he would die. And then all of a sudden it starts like growing back forward and he's like, oh my God. Like,
I've got an even better joke you could have though. You could get ever since we saw Mihawk's Seraphim get the blade fruit, everyone said that Zoro would be amazing with that fruit. How amazing it would be if Zoro gets that fruit, he gets put in that body, gets lost, immediately falls in the water, immediately forgets he has a fruit, jumps in the water, and immediately sinks to the bottom. That'd be great.
Dude, I would love to see so many different combos. Yeah. Like I would have loved to see Luffy accidentally get Buggy's fruit, and then like not know how to walk. Like he's just like separating
like his
himself.
legs walking, his legs walking.
Like there's just so much.
You could even go back. Remember when Luffy first gets struck by Enel's lightning? Yeah, you could have somebody attacking Luffy with a sword and him pull the exact same face.
Mrs. Taku, you killed it with that one. With that one. But so Trigun, Battle of the Badlands, they bring back every character that's ever been in the show, and everyone meets in the Badlands for just a battle royale. And it's just so dope. And if they did that One Piece style, like, except for switched up the devil fruits, it'd be so dope. And speaking of switching up the devil fruits, though, I did see a fanmation of, imagine this is how it's ending. First, Buggy and Luffy are on the ground, out of power, like kneeling in front of Emu, Kaido, the admirals, and they're like in a pool of shallow water, and so you can't see Buggy's fist isn't connected to him, and it shows his hand holding the verse fruit, gives it to Sabo, who's hiding behind a rock. Sabo gets the verse fruit. Then he calls Naruto, calls Ichigo, calls Sasuke, calls Gojo, everyone there, and that's how they defeat Emu. I was like,
that'd be wild.
Yeah, I was like, these fanmations are out of control.
Yeah, there's just so many amazing devil fruits that could swap with someone, and it would just be like comedic genius, or like something that like you could only see in that. Like my favorite idea would be if Sanji got Marco's fruit and turned into like a black phoenix. It would just look so cool.
See, believe it or not, one of my first theories to be wrong was that I honestly thought that Sanji was going to get the Mera Mera. I really did. I thought he was going to become Firefoot Sanji, but it completely. Because again, Sanji is one of those characters where it doesn't take away from his character to give him a devil fruit. Because he's not a swordsman, he doesn't use weapons, so it's not giving him an advantage he doesn't already have as he is now. And because he gets it in the second half of the story where everyone and their fucking mother has armament haki, it doesn't give him this unfair advantage like it does with other people in obviously pre-time skip One Piece.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I really wanted that to be true.
All right, guys.
It would be really cool if it was just like a shuffle where like like the fruit would only be in you for a few minutes and then it would swap with someone else. Yeah, like and it would just be a gigantic battle royale of just like I have to master the power, and just like imagine someone just like randomly gets a fruit and awakens it right away.
Mad Hatter's Tea Party style. Change places.
Shueisha, what's good? What's good? We got your next movie, Mrs.
No. If we're doing that, then the one I would love to see is a completely non-canon story. I want to see One Piece as if the Straw Hats they join in the same order, up to Robin, but they all as Marines. So we have Luffy as a Marine, gets made a Marine captain, gets given extra freedoms the same as Garp does, and that basically goes on that same story but goes round as as if he works for the Navy. Because up to the point where Robin joins, nothing major changes story-wise. Zoro would still join if it meant Zoro becoming a pirate to be the world's greatest swordsman. It doesn't matter. Zoro was much more as a pirate hunter, literally. So if Zoro would have joined the Marines first, if honestly he felt it would give him the better chance to be, the world's greatest swordsman, and not have if he wouldn't have met Luffy at all, I'd see Zoro becoming someone who worked for the Navy before he became a pirate.
Yeah. That just means we need a One Piece what if.
Yeah. Seriously, if we got a what if for it, that'd be so dope. All right, guys. Yo, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Shout out, Silva. People on the internet were trying to argue with my friend that Zoro doesn't have quote unquote powers. All right, guys. Wild that people can say Zoro doesn't have powers. I don't know why you wouldn't consider Conqueror's not a power, but guys, I am NYC Anime Nerd. This is Echoes of the Void, where we theory craft One Piece, and my co-hosts are Nerd Taku and Broker. If you guys want to let them know where they can find you.
I don't know where. Discord. That's where you can find me. Discord.
Yeah. I forget. He's in so many places.
I'm old.
you can't keep them all intact. All these socials.
Yeah, and you can find me on almost every single social media platform at Nerd Taku. So please drop a like on the stream, and also drop a subscribe to all of our channels, and definitely give a shout out.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, go watch Nerd Taku buy new thumbs and get dog walked. He's live a lot playing Rivals, and come check out my live streams where we watch animes and joke. All right, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday, where we will theory craft, probably based off the new chapter, and then we've got another break week, so we'll probably come back to God Valley, because I know we slipped away there when I brought up Vincent. But that is that, and we'll see you guys then. Have a good one.
Jana.
See ya.